For this particular question, it's got that word solve again. So in other words, we're trying to get to a final answer of x equals. This is an algebraic fraction question. Quite hard to do unless you have a single fraction. So the first thing to do is to multiply across to make them have a common denominator. Now, a common way of doing this is to think of this as cross multiplication and think of it as a smiley face. So basically we're going to end up with 4 brackets 2x minus 1 plus 3 bracket x plus 3 all over x plus 3 times 2x minus 1. So basically we've made both these fractions come together as 1 with a common denominator of x plus 3 times 2x minus 1. And to make that happen we had to multiply the opposite numerators by the opposite denominators. Obviously this is still going to give us an answer of 1. Now this then becomes an algebraic manipulation exercise, so rather than multiply the bottom 2 brackets out first, I'm just going to cancel out the division by taking these across as a multiplication. So we'll end up with 4 brackets 2x minus 1 plus 3 bracket x plus 3 equals x plus 3 bracket 2x minus 1. Times it by 1, so it just stays as that. Now this looks very much now it's going to be a quadratic. We'd expect to find a quadratic equation somewhere in the exam paper, so this is where we're going to find it this time. Now there's lots of ways of multiplying out 2 brackets, so lots of people like the grid, so I'm going to use the grid approach. So we quickly write down, so 2x times 2x is 2x squared, 2x times 3, 6x, minus 1 times x becomes minus x, minus 1 times 3 becomes minus 3. So this all together gives me 2x squared, 6x take away x is 5x, and then we've got the minus 3. So we can rewrite where we are by multiplying these brackets out as well. So we end up with 8x take away 4 from this bracket, plus from this bracket 3x plus 9, and that equals what we found on the right hand side. So the 2x squared plus 5x take away the 3. We've now got to think of this as what it is. It's a quadratic equation to solve, and all quadratic equations, well, if you look at the front of the exam paper, it shows you the standard format of quadratics, so ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. That's what it must look like to solve it. So we're going to rearrange this till we get everything on one side and everything else across to leave 0 on the other. Now the positive x squareds are here, so I'm going to be moving the 8x and the 3x, the minus 4 and the plus 9 over to the right hand side. So that will leave me with 2x squareds, because there's no x squareds here to deal with. But here we've got 8x's plus 3x's, which would make positive 11x, but when it moves across to the other side it'll become take away 11x. So I'll have the plus 5x minus the 11x. I've also got negative 4 plus 9, well 9 take away 4 is 5, positive 5 on this side, so when it crosses the equals it'll become take away 5. So I've got take away 3, take away 5 equals 0. So we can simplify that. So it becomes 2x squared, well 5x's take away 11x's is minus 6x, minus 3 take away 5 more becomes minus 8 equals 0. You've got two choices now. You can either use the formula or you can look to see if it factorises first. Well, before we make that decision, we can see there's a common factor of 2 to all of these, so we can divide everything by 2. Now this only works because every term can be divided by 2, including the 0. So this becomes x squared, this becomes take away 3x, and this becomes take away 4 equals 0. Now again, we check by looking and seeing whether we're going to make a decision to try the formula or factorise. Well, quite often these questions will factorise because they're testing the skill of doing the algebraic manipulation through changing separate fractions into a single fraction, more than whether you're going to be using the formula or not. So we'll try the factorising first because that'll give us the quicker solution. So we should know by now that if we want to use the grid as a method to kind of see what's going on, We know we want an x squared from this. We know we want these two things to give us an answer of minus 3x, and this bottom corner needs to give us an answer of take away 4. Well, we know that to make x squared we would need an x times an x, so that's why we put the x and the x at the front of the brackets. We know to make this end term here we're going to have to multiply the two bits here. So we look to what is going to multiply to give us minus 4. Well, one of them needs to be positive and one of them needs to be negative. But I know that these two have got to give us an answer of minus 3x. So I need more minuses than positives. So minus 4 and 1. That'll give me x, that'll give me minus 4x, and when I add those two together I get my minus 3x. So therefore we know then that our solutions are going to be x plus 1 and x take away 4. So this is factorised to x plus 1 bracket x take away 4 equals 0. Well, this now tells me that there's two possible solutions which we'd normally expect for a quadratic. So x plus 1 must equal 0 or x take away 4 equals 0. Well, this one tells me quite quickly that x must be worth minus 1, or it could be that this one tells me that x is worth 4. The reason being 4 take away 4 is nothing, minus 1 plus 1 is nothing. So our final answers will be x is either minus 1 or x is worth 4. Now, I spent a long time on this question because it's worth 5 marks, so we should go through and check that it actually works. So we go back to the original fraction and we'll try the solution of x equals minus 1. So we've got 4 over minus 1 plus 3 plus 3 over 2 lots of minus 1, which is minus 2. Now 4 over minus 1 plus 3 is 2, so 4 over 2 gives me 2. Minus 2 take away 1 is minus 3. 3 divided by minus 3 is minus 1. Plus and a minus makes a minus, so we end up with 2 take away 1, which equals 1. That works. Then try the other solution. X is actually equal to 4. So now we have 4 over 4 plus 3 plus 3 over, well, 2 4s are 8, take away 1 is 7. So this gives me 4 over 7 plus 3 over 7, which when we add these two together we'll get an answer of 1, which again is what we wanted. So we can now see that both the solution works, so therefore our final answer was x equals minus 1 or x equals 4.